We have many pupils in our care from culturally different backgrounds, but generally expect them to fit into our schools with perhaps a few small acknowledgements as to who they are and where their cultural heritage is from. Can we do more? How do we do this in the right way? And will this have an impact on their learning? Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from My Progression, and this video is going to take you through 10 ways to ensure you have a culturally responsive learning environment. We'll also look at what this means and why it's so important. Culturally responsive educational settings are environments which consider their students and aim to include, respect, and celebrate culture. So what is culture? The term culture refers to all the ways of life, including arts, beliefs, and institutions of a population that are passed down from generation to generation. Culture has been called the way of life for an entire society. As such, it includes codes of manners, dress, language, religion, rituals, and arts. Shared language, values, norms, traditions, pastimes, customs, beliefs, and conventions allow people to identify with one another. We're likely to see this within the social setting of school, that pupils who come from similar cultural backgrounds are often drawn to each other. Why is that? There is a familiarity which allows security. You feel included and accepted and therefore comfortable. The Professional Standards Guidance in Wales have Welsh culture and language as an area to be met, which then make it a requirement to teach and celebrate the Welsh culture. British values in schools promote fundamental British values and underpin what it is to be a citizen in a modern and diverse Great Britain, valuing our community and celebrating diversity of the UK. The face of Great Britain has evolved over many decades, and today we celebrate a wealth of diversity in the cultures, faiths, and backgrounds of students attending schools. Respect and tolerance is key. However, culturally responsive teaching is not the same as teaching British values or Welsh culture. Whilst important to promote these teachings, our classes are now made up of numerous ethnic identities as well as minority groups, which may include disability groups, looked after children, and also refugee groups. So British values are important to endorse alongside striving to be responsive to the cultural picture of our school and classrooms. So what's the definition of culturally responsive teaching? Culturally responsive teaching means using students' customs, characteristics, experience, and perspectives as tools for better classroom instruction. This may need to change year on year or even class to class, but it means acknowledgement, respect, and inclusion in a holistic way, which can only breed healthy attitudes as well as broader knowledge. The term culturally responsive was coined by researcher Geneva Gay in 2000, who wrote that when academic knowledge and skills are situated within the lived experiences and frames of reference for students, they're more personally meaningful and of higher interest appeal and are learned more easily and thoroughly. Being able to identify with teaching will enable the students to feel associated as well as feeling socially connected and accepted. Once comfortable, learning can be moved forward to new, unfamiliar realms because the foundations are there to support further and future development. It's important to acknowledge that differences do exist and to treat students all the same regardless of culture. Teachers need to move from cultural blindness to cultural responsiveness. Teaching Standard 5 states adapt teaching to respond to the strengths and needs of all pupils. We have a duty to meet these standards within our schools and our classrooms. Culture is given recognition and importance, and therefore we as teachers must consider where and how this fits into our practice. How do we respond to the diverse cultures we come across within our classroom walls or our school communities? Is it relevant to our teaching? The goal of culturally responsive teaching is to create a learning environment conducive to all students, no matter their ethnic, cultural, or linguistic backgrounds. Think about all your students. How do you make learning relevant to them all? That once a year multicultural week where you have visitors into school and do a few activities and end with a multicultural assembly may not be enough. Yes, they can be great, but does this really embed response to culture in your school environment? Can actually make this worse. This could feel like a box-ticking exercise, not something that's embedded in the culture of the school. So how can we make our classrooms culturally responsive? Teaching needs to be consistently challenging to your students to drive up attainment of all. Some children may face barriers to learning, like language or cultural or community pressure. Barriers should not exist, but be broken down with the vision and support of the leadership and governors of your school. Here are 10 ways you can ensure you have a culturally responsive classroom. Number 1, learn about your class, particularly their languages, stages of language proficiency, heritage, backgrounds. Use this information in your planning. If relevant to your subject, get the children to write about themselves and their background and culture, their history, their story. Make cross-curricular links to glean information about your class. Number 2, pronounce names correctly. Make time to find out your student's name and write it down phonetically if necessary. There is nothing worse than someone persistently mispronouncing your name, as it undervalues you and who you are. You should also correct their classmates if they get it wrong. Number 3, set high academic expectations. Be aware of students' aspirations and aim high, not allowing barriers to get in the way, but supporting, encouraging, and aiding your students to succeed. Number 4, promote inclusion. Ensure you include something in your teaching that all pupils will recognise and will engage with to help them learn. Think about the text and illustrations you use to be able to include them in your lesson. Number 5, use your displays. Do your displays reflect all cultures within your class? Seeing someone like you from your background can help you have a sense of belonging. Celebrate the diversity of your classroom. This is not just limited to culture as we know it, referring to race, religion and cultural practices, but can be disability too. Number 6, talk to them. Find out about your pupils in your day-to-day interactions. Ashvi, I hear you're going to Sri Lanka in the holidays. I hear you've got family there. I'd love to hear more about your trip and the country. Asking questions about the environment, indigenous animals and the weather is a great icebreaker. Number 7, promote peer-to-peer engagement. Encourage your class to talk in pairs or small groups, interviewing each other about their traditions, holidays, family, or other cultural activities. And try incorporating some of these traditions or activities into your classroom. Number 8, embrace traditions. Schools can embrace and respect these traditions by supporting needs with allowances to the uniform if necessary, and also a space for religious practice to take place. Number 9, involve the community. Invite members to speak in your class where possible. In that time, you'll learn a lot, but children from that community will feel involved, accepted and supported. If teaching RE and specifically about a religion that pupils follow in your class, why not involve them and their parents? That first-hand experience on the doorstep of a school which can embrace the families who attend and give that acknowledgement, which then leads to improved relationships. This attitude could be applied to a number of subjects. And finally, number 10, do your own research. How much do you know about other cultures? For example, learn the specific names of clothing like hijab or kippah. Build your own bank of knowledge to show that you are putting the effort in to support your class. Now, how well does your school do this? Some of you will be much better equipped than I am to advise about responding culturally to your classes. We would love to hear from you and how you manage your classroom and meet the diverse needs of all your students. Please get in touch in the comments box below and share your experience with us so we can pass it on to others. And whilst you're there, like, subscribe and click on the bell to keep hearing more from My Progression. When trying to get this right, you can sometimes get this wrong. So here are some things to avoid. Leave your views at home. Whilst you're entitled to your opinions, they need to be appropriate for the classroom. While celebrating different cultures is encouraged, careful how you do this. Dressing up in costumes can be offensive. Don't assume someone's religion or heritage. A name or complexion doesn't mean a particular faith or background. And don't stereotype. If you're putting on a play, don't typecast children based on their appearance. What not to do is actually so much more important. You can do all 10 of the good, but one of the bad will completely negate that good work. A culturally responsive learning environment is a place where everybody belongs. The posters and images on walls, books and the materials on the shelves, the furniture and flow of the space all radiate belonging, with no child feeling excluded. A culturally responsive classroom is inclusion at its best. This response to our wealth of cultures will educate us as adults and set high standards of respect, care and knowledge of others. This can include disabilities, health issues and mental health issues, as well as social issues. One of our contributors, having recently been to a multicultural exhibition in Leicester, read this quote from an artist trying to capture the richness of culture within the city. I wanted to celebrate this multicultural community during these politically polarising times. I hope to show our commonality and that communities like this are not an erosion of British value or its culture, but a vital artery in our intertwined and entangled colonial histories. I think that says it all. I've been Natalie from My Progression. If you've enjoyed this video on creating culturally responsive learning environments, then check out the rest of our channel for more on working in education. And let's keep your career in motion.